Hello, I'm going to show you how to actually go through your process of creating a VLOOKUP table. So the first thing that we're going to do is go look at this spreadsheet. And there are 4 tabs on the bottom: crime committed, the police code, and then we have a further challenge for you: emirate, cities, and grouping codes. So we'll just start with the first 2, crime committed and the police code. So we see that when we look at the data that we pull up, under the date we have standard dates. We have a name of someone who committed it and a police code, but we have no idea what that actually stands for. So we want to fill in this form here that says verbal threat. And there, excuse me, there I'm going to have to actually pull a VLOOKUP to see what this code means and present it for us. So we'll go down. On the bottom I have already created a tab that says, oh, can I make it happen? Bring that up just a little bit. That says police code. And the unique values that I had to resort into ascending order. This is important. If they're not in ascending order, then Excel just gets buggy about it and doesn't like it. This I wrote translated code name, meaning this is effectively a translator, so I wanted to translate from this code to a name that makes sense to us. So we have a series here of what those codes are, and I want to point out that you can put in some codes that don't have anything at all to do with your ultimate lookup. It's okay. You can have extras in here, and they don't need to all be used. So here, there's a code 133 for finger poking. If I were to poke someone with my finger, then I suppose that would be a crime. So now that we have this, the real key about this series of columns is that the unique value, or the code, must be in the left-hand column here, column A. So that's going to make Excel recognize where it's looking for. We go back to the spreadsheet crime committed, and you can see that when I click on that, I've already put in the VLOOKUP here. But let's just go ahead and do it again. So if I click on a new cell and I write equals, then I could type in VLOOKUP, or I could use the formula builder by clicking here, which brings up the formula builder over here, or clicking here on the top. So I'm just going to use, my most recently used is VLOOKUP. It automatically pulls up a window. On PCs, the window will look slightly different, but the idea is exactly the same. So my lookup value is what do I want to get the value of? So I'm going to choose right away. I want the code to fill in for here. So let's just say I want C3 to be looked up. And the table array, when I go back over to the formula builder, says where do you want to get that looked up from? So for example, if I had a name here as my code was, let's just say it's Muhammad, and I want to find out Muhammad's phone number, which table array over here which phone book am I going to look up the phone book from? So I'm going to click on police code, and I'm going to give it the whole option. So finding the code on the left and finding the translated code on the right. So that is my table array. Then it just wants to know from this whole table, which column am I looking from? So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, etc. So I'm just going to put in 2. And then the range lookup. Now for now, I'm looking for an exact match. So I'm just going to put up false, because what this will allow us to do is get far more complicated and choose the closeness of the match. So if it's less than this but greater than that, etc., etc. So right now we want an exact match. We're just going to type in false and hit enter. What it did is you can see in my code builder here, it did a the formula is equals VLOOKUP for my lookup value, C3. In the sheet, note that there is a single quote here around the sheet name, police code, with an exclamation point, and then the range of values within that sheet, police code, A2 to B8. And then we're looking in column 2 for what it's going to print and saying I want exact match, so don't worry about true, false, or in between. One more thing quickly to note on this is to make it better so that whenever I move this formula around, it will always take an absolute value rather than a relative value. I'm going to put in my dollar signs, which you are probably familiar